What if one of the biggest names in hip-hop had a secret life darker than anyone imagined? From secret parties to a surprise visit by Kanye West, the trial of Sean Diddy Combs is uncovering shocking details the world was never meant to hear. And what's already been revealed is just the beginning. They called them King Nights. But behind closed doors, insiders knew the real name, freak-offs. And if that sounds extreme, the details are far worse. According to sworn testimony from Jonathan Perez, Diddy's former personal assistant, these weren't just wild celebrity parties. They were meticulously planned events involving drugs, cameras, and disturbing levels of control. Perez, who worked for Diddy until his arrest in September 2024, described how he was responsible for both setting up and cleaning up after these nights. The process wasn't random. There were guests to invite, substances to prepare, and an atmosphere to maintain. These weren't spontaneous A-list ragers. They were calculated, curated, and, according to prosecutors, criminal. Some insiders say Diddy treated them like performances, allegedly directing the night's events with complete authority over what happened and who participated. But what makes these testimonies especially disturbing is that they support a broader theory from federal agents, that these parties weren't about pleasure, they were about power, and that power was allegedly used to coerce, manipulate, and control. And just when it seemed like the stories couldn't get darker, investigators opened the doors to Diddy's Los Angeles mansion, and what they found was straight out of a nightmare. When federal agents raided Diddy's Los Angeles mansion, they expected to find evidence. What they didn't expect was a warehouse worth of it. On the stand, Andre Lemon, a veteran agent with Homeland Security's Anti-Exploitation Division, described what he witnessed during the search. It wasn't just unusual, it was overwhelming. 900 bottles of Astroglide, over 200 bottles of baby oil, drawers packed with unopened bottles, boxes stacked in closets like inventory. Authorities even uncovered lingerie sealed in packaging, as if everything had been prepped, stored, and stockpiled for events nobody was supposed to talk about. And then there were the drugs. Multiple bags containing ketamine, a potent dissociative substance often associated with club scenes or illegal sedation, were found hidden throughout the property. One bag even appeared to be prepped for transport. Prosecutors argue this supports their claims that intimidation, substances, and manipulation were used to control participants during the so-called freak-offs. Inside the courtroom, the jury was shown photographs of the stash, dozens of bottles neatly organized in drawers ready to be used. The images weren't just shocking. They painted a picture of a highly organized operation that went far beyond personal use. This wasn't chaos. This was logistics. And to federal prosecutors, that speaks volumes. But the evidence was only one part of the story. Because while the agents were combing through closets and drawers, one of Diddy's accusers made a move that no one saw coming. Until recently, her identity was sealed. Just another Jane Doe in a long list of accusations against a hip-hop mogul. But on June 13th, in a move that stunned the courtroom, one woman stepped forward and revealed who she was and what she claimed Diddy had done to her. Chelsea Lovelace. Her name is now public, and so is her story. In an amended lawsuit filed in New York State Supreme Court, Lovelace laid out what she called a years-long pattern of abuse, manipulation, and control. Her allegations spanned from 2020 until Diddy's arrest in September 2024. But it's not just the timeline that's alarming, it's the content. She claimed Diddy drugged her, impregnated her, and recorded their encounters without her consent. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, Lovelace says she suffered a miscarriage in 2022 after months of being emotionally and physically tormented. Her complaint paints a chilling picture. A young woman caught in the orbit of a powerful man who allegedly used his influence, wealth, and staff to trap her in a cycle of fear and dependency. According to Lovelace, she wasn't just a partner or a lover, she was a pawn in a game she never agreed to play. and these claims weren't made in isolation. Prosecutors say they corroborate a larger pattern, one of systemic abuse, surveillance, and coercion within Diddy's inner circle. With Lovelace now stepping into the public eye, the case has taken a new turn. Her presence gives a face, a voice, and a raw human story to what had previously been cold legal terms: racketeering, abuse. But while the courtroom was still processing her revelations, the trial took another strange twist when an unexpected face showed up, drawing whispers and speculation across the courthouse. It was already one of the most talked-about trials in the country, but on June 13th, things went from shocking to surreal. Because suddenly, without warning, the artist formerly known as Kanye West, walked into the courthouse. No announcement, no public statement, just Ye, in his signature shades, slipping into a second overflow courtroom opened to manage the growing media frenzy. He sat silently for less than 10 minutes, flanked by security, eyes fixed on the monitor playing live testimony from the main trial room. He didn't speak. He didn't react. Then, just as suddenly as he arrived, he was gone. Reports later suggested he may have visited the courthouse the day before, staying for nearly an hour, but with no confirmation, it only added to the mystery. Why was Ye there? Was it solidarity, morbid curiosity, or something deeper, some personal connection to the events unfolding inside that courtroom? Theories exploded online. Some pointed to old collaborations and tensions between Ye and Diddy. Others speculated Ye might have had private knowledge of what was happening behind the scenes. But with no comment from his camp, the real reason for his appearance remains completely unclear. Still, the message was received. This trial isn't just a legal proceeding anymore. It's a spectacle, pulling in some of the biggest names in music and leaving fans and observers alike wondering who else might show up next. But Ye's brief appearance was just one thread. In the center of it all remains a question that the entire trial hinges on. What, exactly, is Diddy being accused of? And how deep does the alleged operation go?
At the center of this explosive trial is a charge so serious, it's typically used against major organized crime figures, racketeering under the RICO Act. RICO, short for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act, was designed to take down entire criminal enterprises. And now, federal prosecutors are saying Diddy was running one of his own. According to the government, this wasn't just about celebrity excess. They allege he led a coordinated operation, using his power, influence, and money to lure and control individuals, some of whom were allegedly manipulated into non-consensual situations. The term prosecutors keep using: freak-offs. These weren't ordinary parties. They were allegedly multi-day events, staged and filmed, sometimes without clear consent. Victims, according to testimony, were pressured through fear, substances, and psychological control. The most disturbing part: prosecutors say they have video evidence. The charges include running an organized abuse network, racketeering under the RICO statute, cross-state travel tied to unlawful activities. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to all 5 counts. But federal investigators claim the amount of evidence, from controlled items to witness statements, surveillance clips, and even suspicious financial patterns, tells a damning story. What they're trying to prove isn't just that Diddy committed crimes, but that he ran a system, one where people weren't just harmed, they were trapped. And with RICO, even one guilty count could collapse everything. As the courtroom drama unfolds, one thing's certain: the world is watching. And regardless of the final verdict, Diddy's empire may never be the same. From the outside, Sean Diddy Combs built an empire: music, fashion, television, and an image of unstoppable power. But inside the courtroom, that image is cracking. With federal agents detailing disturbing evidence, former insiders turning on him, and accusers like Chelsea Lovelace stepping into the spotlight, the trial is no longer just about one man's fall from grace. It's about what was allegedly hiding beneath the fame, the money, and the luxury. And with high-profile names like Ye making sudden appearances and new twists dropping nearly every week, this story isn't slowing down. In fact, it's only getting darker. If the accusations are proven true, it won't just be Diddy's reputation that's shattered, it'll be the legacy of one of hip-hop's most powerful moguls. But if he's found not guilty, it'll raise another question: how much power does fame still protect? One thing's for sure, this trial isn't just about what happened behind closed doors. It's about what happens when celebrity, control, and criminality collide. And when the verdict finally drops, it could change the music industry forever.